you're on your travels. You've been in Lisbon. You're in London as we speak to you today. Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I had the incredible opportunity of being able to speak at a conference called Web Summit. And it is, I believe they said it's the largest tech conference in the world. So quite an interesting moment of being in a giant arena of people. But I always love when we kind of can both, well, this trip has been interesting. It's been half going to a general conference and being in front of thousands of people for whom accessibility is not their bread and butter, and being able to share our message and get more people excited and interested in understanding how unbelievably creative this work is. But then coming here to London and being at Techshare Pro, which is one of my favorite conferences, and being able to spend some time with lots of friends and colleagues and really, speak to accessibility to people who know it and love it and share the message there.
Yeah, but both sides of a very important coin. But it was very interesting to hear you going to that conference in Lisbon. It even made news, with a lot of the mainstream tech publications I noticed picked up on it. And I think that was quite interesting because of the fact that you were presenting accessibility, which even in the mainstream tech world can still feel like a little bit of something new, not a novelty anymore, I don't think, but more of something new and exciting and something worth engaging in. Is that the impression you're getting?
Definitely. And I agree with that, the way you phrase that. It's not a novelty. People definitely understand it is something that is important, but they may not have the deep understanding of it. And I was really thrilled at the number of people who came to the session. It was a really, big crowd, and people were really engaged. So it's always fun when you can really bring this to new communities and have them understand the depth and breadth of the kind of work that we do.
I've noticed, I don't know if you find this, but whenever you bring up accessibility these days at a conference, especially when it's not something that is perhaps the main meal on the table, let's say, you tend to become the most popular person in the room because everyone wants to talk to you, especially developers, right? Developers love to play in toolkits. And when they learn there's a whole new toolkit that can enable a whole new bunch of people to access their app or their service or whatever it might be, it does excite people, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think, as we continue to build out APIs for all of the new features that we create, I do see a lot of excitement amongst developers who want to understand how they can better take advantage of those. I think there's definitely an understanding in the world that, the disability community is 16% of the world's population. And so it's a vibrant market of people who have embraced technology and want to do more with it. And so for those third-party developers, being able to incorporate all of these things in is both certainly seen as a way to get more users, but also I think our work is some of the most creative work out there. So I think for engineers, that's also fun as well to kind of see somebody doing something that no one's ever done before, and to build that in and then allow them to use that within whatever is the medium that they're working in, whatever is their area of expertise.
It's going to surprise a lot of people when I say this, but Apple's celebrating 40 years of accessibility.
Yes.
Now, is that next year? Is it officials of year next year, is it?
It is. Our first Office of Disability actually started in 1985. So we have been really committed for many decades to the idea that you don't build just for some communities, you build for everyone. And our work in accessibility is really a testament to our desire to ensure that everyone can use our products the way that works best for them.
Now, you, of course, would be a child crawling around on the floor when Apple developed accessibility, correct?
I'd like to think so, yes.
I mean, it's... What do you know about those early days? When did you join the company? When did you start?
I've actually been there for, I would say, going through the front door. It's been just over 21 years, but I was a contractor for my first 14 months. So amazingly, I hit my 20-year anniversary a week ago today.
Well done.
So yeah. which is a wonderful milestone. It's been an amazing thing to be at this company, and I really can't imagine anywhere else that I would have been able to do the work that I do, or had as much fun doing the work that I do. So it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like every time I speak to you, I always feel you just exude so much passion for what you do, but love for what you do as well. And I do feel the community send that love back. I mean, I know we often get wrapped up in, oh, there's a bug in this software, or this isn't quite right, or there's an issue here. But actually, the truth is we get passionate as consumers because we value the product so much. We value the work that you guys do. And it means so much to us because it gives us the ability to do whatever we want to do, quite frankly. You know, I go back to the early days. I was talking to someone about this the other day, you know, the early days of the iPhone when it first came out. And I remember thinking, as I know a lot of people did at the time, especially those who are blind, were saying, we're going to be locked out of this. We're not going to be able to access this thing because it's just a sheet of glass with a button on it. How do we use it? And then suddenly VoiceOver comes along in that classic 36 seconds that Shelley Brisbane often talked about, the 36 seconds that changed everything. And suddenly, boom, there you have this thing called VoiceOver for blind people, obviously, other, you know, not just for blind people, but there were other services for other disabled people as well, which was wonderful. But, you know, for blind people, we were suddenly part of the room, equalized along with everyone else. And that was huge. But, you know, what we're learning with this 40th anniversary, and I must admit, 40 years, even I was thinking, goodness, 40 years, that seems a long time.
Years.
But when you say 1985, it doesn't feel that long ago. It's funny when you put it in the year terms. What do you know about the early days, about, you know, the whole idea of Apple accessibility getting started and how it all came to be?
Yeah, well, you know, there were some incredibly passionate people back then who championed, and all the way up to the highest levels, people agreed and believed that it's the right thing to do. I think it's just as part of the, you know, who this company is at its very core is really about making technology that works for everyone. And so that original proposal of we should have an Office of Disability was something that was immediately embraced. And I think from that, then it was really getting people to understand what it means to make technology for everyone. And so we were sort of the pioneers building in some of those first features like sticky keys and slow keys and being able to, you know, flash the screen so that someone in the deaf community would be able to get a visual alert when an audible chime was going off and, you know, things like that. And really starting to think about what does it mean to design for everyone? And then continuing to make that a part of the culture for all of these years.
It's interesting you use the phrase design for everyone, and that is often not directly connected to accessibility, but actually it kind of should be. We often think, I think some people think of accessibility as an other thing, as something else, as an area that you perhaps only go to if you're disabled type of thing. Whereas design for everyone is perhaps a better way to describe it, because you are like sticky keys is something which, yes, is very much an accessibility feature, but is used by a lot of different people. And that's the case for, I mean, look at dark mode today is a perfect example of something that, you know, is brilliant for those of us with light sensitivity, those of us who, you know, feel issues with glare, low vision challenges. But of course, coders love to work in the dark. They don't want big bright screens. So that's, you know, it suddenly becomes a design for everyone approach. That conversation has changed over the years, hasn't it? Because like you say, you started with the Office of Disability or for Disability, and now you're kind of building universal access, to go back to one of the original names of Apple accessibility.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples of things like double tap on the watch, back tap on the phone, type to Siri, you know, many things that we've designed that started in the realm of accessibility and have been, you know, embraced across so many different communities. Because for one person, accessibility may be their access. For other people, it may be a way to support productivity. I talk to a lot of people about just open the settings and go in and play around. There's some great life
Mm,
hacks in there that you'll
yeah.
find that even if you don't self-identify as having a disability, I'm pretty sure we'll find something in there that's going to make your life easier as a general user.
Yeah. I mean, just even large text, for a lot
Yeah.
of people struggling with the phone, make the text larger. Of course, the challenge can be getting the developers to adopt that into their app. We see that a lot as well. That's often the challenge. But, the system has the capability for it. So, that is what's wonderful.
Yeah. Again, those APIs are there. So, and we're always
Exactly.
evangelizing to developers to embrace as many of the accessibility features and those APIs as we can.
Do you know what the first recorded accessibility feature was that Apple developed that was actually classified that way?
Oh my goodness. That is a good question. I will have to go back, and there's a few things that are rattling around in my brain right now, and I don't want to say the wrong one. So next interview,
Okay.
I'll put that on
We'll
the
hold
list.
you to that. Okay, that's fine. Now, of course, we zoom forward to 2024, and the culmination of all of this work is so evident because what I think we're seeing this year, and we have seen in the past few years from accessibility, especially, is nuance coming into accessibility. A feature like VoiceOver, for example, let's take that as an example, has kind of grown now and is starting to get nuance within it. We're talking about, live recognition. We're talking about, the ability to, really customize voice now within VoiceOver. So, if you feel your eloquence voice, which by the way, huge props for bringing eloquence in. Oh, I love it. Having that, but also having the capability to really customize that voice as well. These are really important features. And, initially you look and you think, goodness me, there's an awful lot of options in here. What do they all do? And then when you start playing with them, you realize how wonderful they are.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been playing around with my voice and changing it, although I'm a bit of I never stay still with my voice. I think I'm on Nathan at the moment. He's my current favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's having so much flexibility, so much customization, but so much nuance in it. One example of that, in particular this year, I think, that a lot of people are talking about is Braille screen input. Because that really got a bit of a kick up the backside this year, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to me as if you had really kind of rethought the whole Braille screen input and really took it up a gear. What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that's incredibly important to us is we don't believe that any feature is kind of done, check the box, move on, and leave it stagnant. We really always try and look at the work that we're doing and figure out how can we do better. And so, part of that is that the whole Apple kind of surprise and delight of making sure that our users know that within our operating systems, every year, year over year, we're going to try and do something that makes you feel seen, that you're a part, of the Apple family, and we want to do something to make your life again a little bit easier, a little better. But I think also these teams, the engineering teams, continue to work on features year over year to make them something that if we figure out something we can do to just tweak something even a little bit, as you said, nuance. Let's make it happen. And I think Braille screen input was a good one. When we first developed it, we knew how it could be so powerful for the community if they didn't have immediate access to a Braille display, or typing in Braille was the way that they felt most comfortable getting down their thoughts, that we wanted to make that happen. But as time's gone by, we've, as we get feedback from people, and you were talking earlier about that element of, providing feedback and how people, constantly want to sort of talk about what they like and things. And we love that dialogue. We really appreciate when the community comes in and tells us what's working, what's not working, reports bugs, lets us know if, based on their unique, disability or set of disabilities, that maybe something could work a little bit better for them. We love getting that feedback. So definitely encouraged. I'll just jump in real quick with the accessibility@apple.com email address. Please write to us and let us know what your thoughts are. But yeah, and getting in feedback around Braille screen input, we wanted to spend some time figuring out how we could make it, a better feature in the operating system. And so I think we're really excited about what we've been able to do this year.
Just on the feedback point, a lot of people get in touch with us concerned that when they do email that email address, they're not being heard. Can you respond to that? I mean, you're clearly getting a lot of emails, I imagine. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, no. I want everyone to know that there are humans on the other end of that. There's nothing that is a bot or an anything. It is actual people who are receiving those. And while in some cases the response that they give may be, we've got to investigate this, thank you for sending it. We've got to investigate it and we'll look into it, which may seem like it's, a form letter. It's not. It is. That person is then taking that information, putting it into what's called a radar, and sending it to the appropriate engineering teams. Sometimes it can take a little while to figure out exactly what that thing is, because maybe there's something about it that someone's particular use of a specific voice or a specific braille display or a specific, there's so much customization that can be done, as we have to peel back the layers of the onion and figure out what is it that's actually happening here. But it is most definitely humans who are getting that and working hard to try and figure out how to get it to the right people. And then those people trying to figure out what is going on and get that fixed.
Of course, accessibility is not just voiceover. It's, it's, as you say, designed for everyone, which is very much at the heart of what you do at Apple. And that is evident in all the features that exist. And there are so many accessibility features, and we could talk about tons, but we do talk about them all here. I promise you on Double Tap. We talk about them all the time. But one I want to mention, because it kind of came out of the blue for a lot of us, and it surprised some of us, and we kind of fell in love with the idea. And that was music haptics.
Yes.
Because it kind of brought the fun into accessibility. It's like, disabled people can have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That has been a really wonderful project, and so excited that it's out in the world. The idea behind Music Haptics is that on the iPhone, using the Taptic engine, to be able to line up vibrations on the device with music going on. And so it gives different levels of vibration depending on, the treble, the different elements of it, but really giving someone the opportunity to feel music along or in lieu of hearing it. It was specifically designed to support the deaf and hard of hearing community. But we're finding so many people are writing into us or telling us how much they love having it on. So really excited about Music Haptics.
I want to touch on Apple Intelligence. There's so many areas we could talk about. But of course, Apple Intelligence is just, it feels in some ways like it's in its infancy, and it clearly is because it's just launched, or launching, because of course it's not fully available around the world yet, at least in their localized English or language. But I want to ask you a little bit about the accessibility within that, because, instantly because I set all my devices to US English, so I wanted to play. And I hope that's allowed, but I did. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I was kind of feeling like instantly, like it was telling me on the Mac that writing tools was available in the actions menu. And, I could use it. It was instantly telling me on the iPhone where writing tools, for example, would show up. It just felt so embedded right away. Do you have a hand in that, or is that something that is kind of built into just the framework of how the OS is built?
Well, I think it's multifold. Certainly as a company, accessibility is a part of everything we do. So whether something is, 100% done by the accessibility team or by any engineering team at Apple, it's foundational. And so from the start, Apple Intelligence was built with accessibility in mind. Our team also then engages to kind of help bring that little bit of nuance and secret sauce, I think, as well. But we are really excited about the launch of Apple Intelligence and what it can do to support all of our different communities. When you think about something like writing tools, to be able to get a summarization of something that may be very complex and bring it into a way to understand what it is can be super helpful for so many different types of disabilities. Also, being able to take basic text and get an understanding of how do I make this sound a little more professional? How do I change this? The tone can also be fantastic. I love the idea of the prioritization of things like alerts and notifications as well, to really be able to kind of, with all the things I have going on in my day and all the many places I have to be and things, to really be able to have it succinctly tell me what I need to focus on in this moment and what then do I need to do over the course of the day is super exciting. And then when you start to get into some of the things like, I was looking at the memories feature in photos and being able to use natural language to find things, super valuable. And in particular, I think for the blind and low vision communities, to have that way to be able to just say, find me all of the photos that involve a specific person or a specific person on a specific day doing a specific thing. That can be really helpful.
I want to ask you about visual intelligence, because it was kind of presented as a non-accessibility feature, but, clearly us as blind people are going, well, hang on a minute, this sounds very interesting. So I can point my camera at things and it can tell me things. What can you tell us about visual intelligence and accessibility kind of joining together, if they aren't already in your mind?
Yeah, no, I think it is something that is certainly joined together. Whether in some cases when we make a feature, we know that there is a benefit for a larger community, and we want to make sure that others are able to enjoy it or know it's there for their usage as well. But I think, we know so much that the blind community can benefit from tools like this to be able to have that, immediate knowledge of what's around them. And so, yes, it's certainly something that we are incredibly excited for the blind community's usage.
Well, heading into 40 years, of course, I imagine celebrations will be abound, and look forward to hearing about them. But, amazing work from the entire accessibility team. You leading it for such a long time, and we're so grateful to you for that. What's your personal milestones?
My gosh, there's so many. There's been so many wonderful things that have happened over my time here that I feel very blessed to have been a part of. I think, certainly from the perspective of the product, gosh, we've done things to really push technology forward for all of the different disability pillars that we have around vision, hearing, physical, motor, cognitive, and speech. And I can probably come up with a thing in each one of those. But I think the other thing that I'm just really proud of is how over the course of this time, we've been able to really expand everyone internally at Apple's perspective around accessibility. And I think, this is some of the work that is really the most creative, and of which every employee is most proud of and is internalized into themselves. So, when I've certainly said this before, but when people ask me how many people are on the accessibility team, my answer is I think we have about 170,000 employees, and they're all on my accessibility team, because it is so deeply embedded in our culture that everything we do is something where people are thinking, okay, how do I make sure that I'm doing this right, and that I'm respectful of individuals with disabilities in whatever their job is. And so I think that's one of the things I'm really most proud of, is that we as a company do this in everything that we do.
And I think from our end, as consumers, I hear a lot of talk in our community. I talk to lots of blind people about this topic, as you know, all the time, personally, professionally. And the end result is this, that whenever Apple releases a product, no matter what it is, we know whether we're going to buy it or not, it'll be accessible. And I think that says a lot about the company and how you've embedded this across. When the Vision Pro came out, I'm immediately thinking, this is an incredibly visual product. I'm not going to buy this, but I know it's going to be accessible. And I think that's testament to the work that's been done. And it's important we recognize that and say thank you to you for doing the work you do. Thank you to the team at Apple who do a wonderful job, who deal with all our feedback. I have to get these emails endlessly, but it all comes from a good place. And I just think it's great what you do. And here's to 20 more years, Sarah. Are you up for that?
Oof, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, all right.
You might not want me after 20 more years, but for as long as I can be here, I do love my job. So
I appreciate you coming onto our show as well and supporting Double Tap as you do by coming on here. So thank you so much.
Always. I love spending time with you, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. We'll chat soon. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Hi guys, Stephen here. If you want more content like this, then all you have to do is like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to catch new episodes of Double Tap, you can do right here on YouTube every weekday from noon Eastern, or on AMI Audio across Canada, and of course, in your favorite podcast app as well. Thanks for watching.